got a Roland vinyl print cutter, which unfortunately shit itself, excuse my language, recently, and I've just found out it's going to cost me $3,500 in new print heads, and I'm like, probably just buy a new one, I reckon.
Squeegee Podcast Season 2. This podcast is sponsored by Blind Maggot, Magna Colours, M&R, Target Transfers, and Adobe Creative Suite.
My name's Tom. I'm from a company called S02 Co. We're located in Perth, Western Australia. Most isolated city in the world, apparently.
Is it?
But yeah, apparently so, according. But I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, that's basically short and curly of us with embroiders, screen printers, relabelers.
Did you just say the short? Did you just say the short and curly? No.
I did. I did, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Why is that like a bit of England coming back maybe in there or something?
Probably.
It's a little bit like,
that's really
there might
funny.
be a few. There might be a few there actually, but anyway,
that's really funny.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, like, looking at your team and stuff, it's quite like a young team, isn't it? And how many of them are you? Like 6 or 7, or how many people?
No, there's 3 of us.
Oh.
Yeah, there's 3 of us. Yeah, it's a weird one. We do have this, like, I think a lot of people from the outside are like, oh, they must be a lot bigger of a team than they actually are. But I think a lot of us are sort of multi-skilled, where all of us are doing all assets of the business rather than one printer, one embroider, one relabel. We all sort of jump in, and even myself as, you know, the owner, I am the boss, I guess, if you want to call it that. I'm still in there working as well, where I'm 30 myself. My head screen printer is one of my really good mates of my whole life. He's also 30, same age. And my sister-in-law, who works for us, is also 30. So, yeah, young, I guess. I feel like I'm getting older, but yeah, young, I guess.
It is a relatively young team. So, yeah.
Comparison. Yeah, correct. I think, especially in Australia, like over here, Melbourne and Sydney, there's a lot of our like age group that are running their own shops and things, where in Perth on the west side of Australia, not so much. And it is definitely an older like trade screen printing and stuff here. So yeah, it's been really good for us to sort of come in and, you know, breath of fresh air of sorts, I suppose. Yeah.
Scare all the old ones. They're like, can't keep up on certain things.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's essentially sometimes where we benefit, because we're kind of willing to give things a go, and we want to have fun and experiment with print techniques and anything really we can get our hands on and get dirty with. So whereas, you know, some people are more just like, nope, just want to print no more than 2 color designs, or that's it, you know. Looking into these other avenues, I think it's just very like A or B kind of thing where
whereas you're fresh and you haven't been worn down by
not yet. Speak to me in another 5 years and maybe it might be different. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I always sound like a real Grinch on these programs, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Don't worry, you're in good company with me as well. We'll be all right.
But like looking at the embroidery, is that the main embroidery thing just behind you? Oh, are there any more machines? Is that it?
That's our embroidery machine.
I can kick out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a 6 head, and all 6 heads are firing, and they're going well. Yeah, it's great. Fortunately, these things have their big issues, and we're sort of being in Australia as well. Like, their head office is over in Melbourne, which is 4-hour flight other side of the country, sort of thing, and you know, everything that happened in the world last couple of years, the main technicians sort of weren't easily accessible to come over. So if there were quite big problems, it was a case of, you know, there's one technician that services the whole of Western Australia. And if you look on a map, yeah. So look, he's a busy fella, but that way he's constantly booked out for weeks, and, you know, you have a bit of a issue and it's like, I know there's a fix to this that I could probably get somebody in and get it sorted. Sometimes you're waiting weeks for us to get our machines serviced or things like that. That's the biggest downfall of it. In terms of it, it's a very weird space that we're in right now. We've got a warehouse that's getting built for us.
I wanted to ask you about that as well.
We're about apparently 3 days from handover. So the 14th is meant to be the handover. So we're in this like really weird makeshift, like you could probably see a door there.
Yeah.
They're like old offices. They're old Victorian homes that they built around this suburb in Perth, and then they were then converted into office spaces or whatever as time moved on. That's kind of where we are now. So we've got an embroidery machine in here. Through that door, we've got our press, our screen printing press. We've got sewing and everything in that side. It's a bit all just in rooms at the moment. So our warehouse is literally out the back of this shop we're in now. So I just every day I'm head out like, yeah, okay, there's a little bit more and getting more excited. So yeah, it's going to be really, really good. Yeah, just one of those achievements, I suppose, as a business to as well think, okay, well, we've done okay and we're doing well and we need a warehouse space. It's really good. Good achievement for us, we feel. And like I say, being quite a young business too. It's a good achievement as well.
How did you know you were ready for that? Like just financially or just space-wise, or like how did you plan? How did you know for sure?
Yeah.
Or are you still kind of like pretty sure this is the trajectory?
Yeah, I would say probably more so to the latter. Like, you know, I'm definitely sure of certain like avenues and things and potential clients that we've picked up and work that we, you know, need bigger space for. One day we would hope to have an auto or something like that where quite a large area is needed and space and things like that. So it was probably more of a foresight into the future for us as a business, and trying to we've moved twice in the last few years, and it's not an easy task. So I sort of wanted something where we kind of go, look, let's as a business take a little bit of a risk of sorts and just go, let's do it. And I think once you put those positions, like you put yourself in those positions, you sometimes do try work a bit harder to make sure it does work, and you're constantly thinking of new avenues and ways to go down and how to approach new clients and different demographics of work and all this sort of stuff. So my whole plan with it is to be ready if those bigger jobs come and we can actually cater for them. And, you know, that's sort of our plan. And look, the warehouse, it's a long story. We sort of stumbled on it a bit, kind of fell on our feet a bit with it, and we know the owner of it, and he was kind of like, look, I have the space, if you want it you can have it. And we were, you know, did the numbers and stuff and it worked for us. And a bit of future planning, I guess. We'll see how it goes.
It is one of the biggest like obstacles, it is moving into that bigger space, but you've managed to even like hook that big embroidery machine up in what seems like a residential space. So do you just have like access to three-phase electricity in there?
So weirdly enough, this actually runs off 240, just a 240 volt plug. Not too sure about the newer ones. Maybe they might be three-phase or something. We did have a problem with our tunnel dryer and things like that. That was a nightmare. I'm very lucky to have my best friend is an electrician, so he could sort it out for me. But, you know, it's not what you know. Yeah, again, the embroidery machine fit through the door by about that much.
Yeah, that's always the case, isn't it?
Like it was touch and go. And even the first place we moved into, it was very humble beginnings, quite small. And I was like, we're there with a tape measure about 20 times a day going, yep, and making sure. And it just fit. This thing's a bit of a spaceship, you know. People come in and look at it and they're like, what does that even do? Like, that's an embroidery machine.
But if it is running, it's a serious moneymaker for you. But I've seen you on like boxes of like huge walls of AS Colour boxes, like being silly lying on them. Like, is that what kind of customer was that for? And like, why would you pick AS Colour or guide them to pick AS Colour?
Well, that joke, I think I asked them if I could and they were okay with it because they had all their names stick it all over the boxes. Oh, it was a skateboarding company. They did quite a big order with us, and I thought, well, this is quite funny. We like having fun. I don't know, maybe if you watched a couple of our other videos, they're a bit like, you know,
putting the ink on with your hands and just being generally.
Yes, exactly, with my fingers cut off with gloves and then putting a pie through a dryer. It's very I don't know, it's a bit tongue in cheek. We like to have a bit of fun, and it just shows that you're, you know, a fun side of yourself as well. And I think customers like that too as well in some ways. Some people
they're
don't.
like,
Other
can
people,
you get on with my order instead of putting this part through?
They're like, I hope you don't print my shirts like that with your hands with no gloves on. I'm like, yeah, no, we definitely don't. It's definitely like I think it's we do it a little bit more for the printers as well, for like people like yourself, for someone to watch it and go, God, it's funny. I totally get that. Like maybe your everyday person might look at it and go, these guys are rubbish. What are they doing? Like, this is shocking. But, you know, we like to think it does work. And I think Australia has that. Like, we do have that quite like joke, like sort of community. Nobody here sort of takes themselves too seriously. That's just our lifestyle and the way we are. It's like, you know, the Aussie larrikin.
It's like April Fool's every day.
We're constantly like every week going, okay, what's the next funny video that we can make? Like, what's this that we can do that still ties it in? We have our serious work that we show obviously as well, but we are fun people, and we want the customer's experience to be fun and enjoyable as well, not just thanks for your order, here's an invoice, pick them up, see you later. Like we like to involve our customers with stuff. And if customers of ours say, hey, would you be up for me filming this video of me running in your shop or whatever? And I'm like, look, as long as it's all above board and nothing bad, I'm like, yeah, I'm not, you know, precious about myself and things. And my team aren't either. It's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. You know,
I wanted to ask you, like, with your team and stuff, and you're saying like, but I'm the boss still, but it is quite like a friendly atmosphere amongst the team. Like, how did
100%.
How did you start out? Did you do it with friends, or like who was your first hire, and how did you build from there?
Well, I originally worked for another company prior to starting the business, and they were more like corporate trade work where, you know, high-vis sort of PPE. All of the same principles apply. You know, I was very lucky to learn embroidery and print side and things like that. And I sort of noted, look, it didn't float my boat completely. I liked the work. I've always been involved in clothing and brands. I've run my own clothing brands for years and helped people facilitate theirs and work with people in music to do merch. And this is before I was running Square One, and just always really had a passion for it. There was a massive gap in the Perth market for a one-stop shop that does everything in-house. That is just, you don't need to go to that guy for screen printing, him to embroider. If you want your shirts relabeled, now go to that person. If you want patch attachments, now go. We want it done start to finish. And that's why I called it Square One. Like, start with us at square one of your brand and business, and we will help you go, like, do the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
That was it. I dealt with it so much when I was younger, you know, having to source so many different people just to
get one bloody shirt. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then having to find the right people to do what you want them to do. That was quite difficult as well. So yeah, a lot of like umming and ahhing and saying to my partner, like, should I do it? Should I do it? And she was like, look, I believe in you. I think you'd do really well, and give it a go. Like, give it a go. You'd hate yourself if you never tried. 2.5 years later, almost 3 years, here we are. And the staff, that situation, well, my screen printer, Matt, he's, again, one of my oldest friends. I've known him forever. Great artist on the side, really good painter, sculpture, like, loves pottery, ceramics. Like, he's a very creative. We're good at that. We like that. And he does brew beer, actually, which is really funny, and he's really good at it. So yeah, you're not wrong.
I looked it up. Well, you did your get to know the staff, so I know he brews beer on the side.
There you go. Yeah, you do. Nice. There you go. I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I honestly just went to Matt and I was like, look, I want like a mural on my wall in the shop. I don't know, something just clicked with me, and I just thought, like, he'd be so good at this. Like, he'd be really good in this industry, and he's done it himself as well. He, you know, printed his own shirts and stuff, doing his own stuff back in the day, and everything like that. And like a visual artist, you're constantly trying to do all those things yourself, you know. And he had a very good foundation knowledge of it, artwork. He understood everything, and it was a case of now just, okay, how about it? He jumped on with me, and he's done really well. Like, you know, duck to water type scenario. And yeah, it's awesome. Matt just goes now, and it sort of, he does his thing, and we work together in harmony really well. My sister-in-law, she strangely used to run like a children's clothing brand or stuff.
That's convenient.
Yeah. And I had to like push her a little bit. I was like, you can do it. Come on, like join the team. I really want to have you on board. I think you'd be really good. This is what I want to offer, the relabeling, sewing, patch attachment, all those sorts of things. She was very like wary in the beginning. I don't know if I can do it. And I sort of went, no, like, let's go. And she could do it in her sleep. She's indispensable. And they both are. And I focused like, yeah, it's a team. It's not me like doing this, and not me that is the brainchild, because essentially I started it, but those guys get us through, and they are the ones, they come to us with the ideas. Look, put it this way, Matt's the screen printer of, he's my head screen printer. So I get Matt in and say, okay, look at this job. We're doing this and this and this. It's going on 80%, 20% jumpers. What do you think? And it's great just to have him there going, all right, maybe do this with this color. Let's do this here. And we're just honest. That's what I want. And I'm not going to get it right all the time, you know, and if he sees something and spots it, we can say it. So
do you think that are you still burdening like some of the pressure, because there's like ups and downs and cash flow, and like maybe someone hasn't paid. Are you telling the team about that, or are you kind of like keeping it to yourself a little bit? Or
no, I'm very open. Look, one of them is essentially my sister. She's family, and like again, Matt's one of my best friends. I've got nothing to hide from them, and I think being honest gives them an understanding of the operations of the business and stuff as well. And it's not always happy days, and invoices don't always get paid on time, and people, sometimes don't do the right thing in that regard. And I think they have to realise that is the swings and roundabouts of the business, as well as issues with stock levels, etc., on their end, or I'm not sitting there going, oh, by the way, I just paid $53.47 for this today, guys, out my bank. Just thought I'd let you know. But it's more like every month or so we sit down and we have a bit of this is what we did this month. We're really putting systems into place that are, again, involve them on the back end of it too. I had a daughter for about 14 months ago. So my partner's just going back to work now. So there's going to be times where I'm going to have to sort of step away and look after her. And I think that's huge in a business, especially a small business, giving people the responsibility and not just saying, you're just here working for me and that's it. Like, give them the responsibility. And I trust them both with my heart. So it's like, I'm not worried in a sense about that. Sorry, I think I forgot to answer your question about AS Colour. They're our supplier in Australia. They are the blank supplier in Australia. Like, we don't get, we can get it. I know you guys are very big advocates like Stanley Stella and stuff. Like, we can get it, but there's one supplier that does it, and it's very like cycle wise. They might not have stuff. We don't usually. And then again, a lot of it's like conversion rates as well. Currency exchange. It's so like this.
Yeah, it is difficult.
It's so hard to. Yeah, what about you guys with AS Colour? Do they have a big market over there? I see they have started to break through with you guys, but
they are. Yeah, they are. They're around. Like, I love all the streetwear style that they do. I love the cuts. Yeah. I love loads of stuff about them. Like, as a personal shop, we've just got with our own brands and stuff. We've just kind of set certain things that we want to not deviate from. So basically it's like 100% organic cotton. That's like one of our things. But then I was trying to be like, guys, can you say that yours is organic cotton? But they can't quite yet, because of like they're in conversion. A lot of their cotton's in conversion. So it's like, I really want to use you, but not quite yet. So I still think everything they're doing is really cool, and I definitely want to get them on the podcast to like dive into a little bit deeper. I think they are accessible in the UK. They are trying to again push against big players like Stanley Stella again, but I'm sure they're doing well.
I think AS Colour here, they like you say, we've got like, well, my business, you may have seen Square One, is pretty big on streetwear. Like it is. That's my background. That's where I'm from. So that's where a lot of people have known me from and naturally have gravitated towards me that way. Have I pigeonholed myself? We're working on that. You know,
it's fun, isn't it? Though, like everything looks good on press. The customers are a certain type, so
I know it looks great. But then when you're like, I've got prints that are like 6 color prints front and back, and I've got 20 shirts, and you're like, it's going to take me like longer to reg the screens than it is to do the shirts. Like it's insane. But like, look, if people are happy to like go with the job and do it, but I'm like, guys, you could achieve the same with a 1 color print and just do the outline or something, and you don't need to go for all these screens and things. But that's what it is. But yeah, look, again, like AS, just the products they make, they just print really well. And that's for us. That's what we really look for. And you know, we have other styles of shirts that we use over here. And I'm not going to say any names just to in case I get a bad rap for it or anything. But there's a couple over here that we have and we use. No
one's come after me, and I've been slagging them off for years.
I like that. Well, like we get a lot of like Gildan thing, like punk hardcore bands and Gildan, and because their whole MO is like it fades, the prints go to rubbish, and that's what they want. But as a business, like we don't want to be giving out stuff like that and things like that, quality control and stuff. I'm just like, what's going on? Sometimes we've got, you know, my printer will come to me. He's like, here you go, man. It's just like an arm that's just not sewn up and things. And you're like, who looked at this? You know, it's kind of insane. But
it's got a sticker on it to say like, there's something there.
Someone touched it. Yeah, someone put it in a box. So it's here. But yeah, I think it's just AS Colour, just probably the most innovative like blank supplier we have in Australia. Mm-hmm. And again, to circle back, and that'd be my biggest gripe that we have in Australia. It's getting better, but there's a lot more independent people doing it.
All right.
You know, actually something that we're thinking of doing, and we have actually started the process. We've got blank headwear manufacturing that we're starting, and we're looking to start our own blank mints as well. Tees and potentially hoodies next year or something, but focusing on the tees for our summer this year, which would be in 6 months' time sort of thing. Really focusing on that again, just due to the people say to me, Tom, like, this is a great shirt. I love this about it, but I don't like this and don't like this. And I'm like, okay. And past 2 years, we've been getting a lot of sort of, field analysis and saying, well, what is the thing that everybody wants? Yeah. And I think we just sort of thought, look, let's try and do something ourselves. It's either going to go really well or lead balloon. Again, I'm a firm believer of just like giving it a go and, you know, have a go and try it. We'll probably sample them for Square One shirts and stuff first, but yeah.
Can you talk to me about your own brands and like why you might have still carried it on now, but like why would you make the decision to like not work on your own brand and work on other people's? Like, what have you figured out there?
That's a very good question. I think as well, I was running a lot of stuff in Perth for my company that I run. It's called Enclave. I was running a lot of it cut and sew, and I had a cut and sew team, in Perth that would work alongside me. We basically, sorry if you can hear that noise in the background, it's just Matt taping up screens, I think. I don't know if it's that loud. And unfortunately, the people that were doing that for me walked away from the business. Mm-hmm. And they basically went, look, we've been doing this for 45 years. That's it. We're done. And there is no one else in Perth that manufactures. So, you know, I can't take backward steps in quality and products that my customer base has come to know and love. I had a particular fit of a jumper or shirt or whatever it was that people really liked. And I think also a lot, probably just like investing more in my business rather than maybe investing in that brand these days. There's a lot of people doing it in the world now. Clothing brands, when I started sort of 12 years ago, there was in Perth maybe 10 of you that were doing it, and you were all maybe doing different things. So your opportunity to stand out was a lot easier. Unfortunately, these days, a lot of people are selling merch or anything, coffee shops, bars, pizza places want to make a T-shirt, and it's like everybody wants to do it. So you're in such a big competitive market that, look, I still do things from time to time. I'm still, I'll make this, or I have to go to Melbourne to manufacture. But it's still a plane ticket over to check things and sample in time and stuff like that. And like, I'm at this point where the business is growing quite quickly as well, and I sort of want to mainly focus on that and really like concentrate on the business growing. Which in turn is like, creating other people's brands and doing that sort of thing as well. I think it's one of those things as well where when you do something all day, I don't really have much inspiration to do my own stuff now, which is a bit of a like double-edged thing. I make music as well on the side of this. I've tried to maybe more so transition my brand that I run into my merch for music.
And I suppose having all the streetwear people, they're the main people who are going to be buying like rebranding, new tags, patches. So like you're not going to get a workwear person specifically like giving a shit what the neck label. They don't know about that, do they? So
correct. That's right. That's right.
That's
I think that's exactly right. And again, there's not many businesses that would even facilitate it in Perth. Like, oh no, your labels, no, don't want to deal with that, mate. No, don't want to deal with that. Like we go as to extents of offering every single thing you want for your brand. We can do it. If you want custom stickers, we can print stickers. Got a Roland vinyl print cutter, which unfortunately shit itself, excuse my language, recently, and I've just found out it's going to cost me $3,500 in new print heads, and I'm like, probably just buy a new one, I reckon, rather than fix it.
I had one of those moments. I was cleaning, and then for some reason I thought, I'm going to spray this cleaning fluid up. So I sprayed it like upwards because I thought, maybe that'll get the print head as well. And I sprayed it into all the electronics, and then I was like, oh my God, it just died. I had the guy out, and he was like, have you been doing anything weird with it? And I was like, sure. I don't even think I came clean. And he was like, it's all like short-circuited in this whole area. And I was like, no. Is this still under warranty? Because I sprayed the shit. They're so delicate. But
they are, aren't they? It's like, it's the same thing as like, I don't know if you delve into it much, but like the DTG world of things as well.
I can't be dealing with
it's
it.
like, I say to people, like, they walk in here, I don't know if it's going to sound very like nerdy of me, but I'm like, we say it's like Harry Potter fan. I'm like, that's like saying Voldemort in here. Like, we are screen printers. We don't use that word here. Like, we don't say that. And they're like, oh, okay. But some people get it and laugh, other people don't. But same as them. Like DTGs, mate, you have to be running this all day, every day, non-stop, or it goes to rubbish. I mean, over here, some of our, like the Epsons or the Brother GTXs, I think 50,000 Australian dollars. And you're like, that's an awful lot of money, to be spending on a DTG, which, hey, I'm like, let's work on sepping your artwork right and screen printing it. That's my view on it. But I think we sometimes get a bit of like the DTF stuff now as well. Yeah. But again, I'm like, don't. I know some people, that's just what they have to do, or the low entry point for. Do you have Supercolour in the UK now?
Yes, I think so. I think the one that's winning in the UK is Ultracolour, but Supercolour is definitely around. And then Supercolour's massive in America, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, Supercolour was our first one here, and then Ultracolour and stuff like that. But again, it's much for muchness, really, isn't it? I don't think you can make. They all say, "Oh, we're better than them," and we've got this and this. But look, it's DTF printing. It's in the whole process, I think.
Yeah, unless you've got like some like special herbs that you're putting on the machine. It's the same.
If they exist, tell me where to get them, because we sometimes just, it's like banging your head against the wall with it, like sometimes. But again, like I say, easy entry point for people. I think Super allow you to do minimum of 10, and it's sort of like you've got an event or your mate's 21st and you want to put a dumb photo of him on it from when he was 15, fine. Like, we get it. There's like you know that's what it's for, right? It's like one of those things where, and you go, yeah, this is fine. But like longevity wise, and you put a big print on it, like it feels horrible. Doesn't feel good at all. No, just avoid it. But yeah, screen printing and embroidery and relabeling, nothing else.
I feel like a bit of a like that as well, but it is undeniable that people are asking for it. So it's very tricky, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, because you haven't got a huge amount of competition there. It doesn't sound like someone down the road could come up and just be like putting transfers out. They have like very low skill level because they're just like heat pressing. So it's tricky, isn't it? You can see how it can. Well,
it's funny you mentioned that. It's really funny you mentioned that, because a couple of people had come in to me and said, "Have you seen that new shop that's opened up?" I actually did see it the other day, and I think their whole marketing thing was, it's like branded apparel, plastisol transfers. That's what they will provide to their customers. But then who's doing their plastisol transfers would be my next sort of question. Is like they've got a tiny little 50 square meter. It looks great, has all the garments, has everything there, but there's no production happening. And who are they outsourcing these transfers to? Would it not be easier to build a relationship with the screen printer and get them to direct print it and do it? That's the way I see it. But it's an interesting thing. Like, it was huge here in Australia. Like, it was just all you'd see was just like craft people over as COVID happened. You know, things like I'd get questions all the time, like about the crickets and the, what do you call the silhouette?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Cameos or whatever they are. Like everybody was asking me, hey, what are these like? I want to get into it. Or, hey, I've started my own vinyl T-shirt thing and da-da-da-da-da. And there was a lot of that happening. And I think maybe it's carried on from there, that maybe they, you know, hey, this is quite fruitful through COVID, and why don't we go bigger scale? You know, maybe. I don't know exactly. But yeah, I think, you know, it's all well and good if that's the way build the relationship with the screen printers, build the relationship with embroiders, and then, you know, in turn they can offer more to their client base too.
I think there's so much low-hanging fruit in the community.
Do you guys? Oh, 100%. I think it's really interesting, like what you guys do, how that you offer like screens and sets to like your customers as well. Is that something that's like UK wide, or is it like more in your like?
Yeah, we just send them out to the UK, but we get a lot of Americans and Canadians asking for them. There are people in America who do it as well, like Anthem Screen Print. They send them out. Yeah, so I've just seen those guys. I'm basically just feeding Anthem Screen Print with Americans getting there. I feel like that's what I am. Like, all these inquiries come to me and I'm like, oh no, I'm like a receptionist for like 10 different people. Why I feel the need to have to suggest someone. I'm just like, no, I don't do it. And then just put the phone down. But
no, I feel that though. I do that. People, if I can't do the job, I'm always like, hey, I remember this guy who used to do this down in such and such. Give him a call. And they're like, mate, thanks for even taking the time to say that. And I'm like, well, it's about being helpful as well at the end of the day, isn't it? And that's cool. It's like something we've thought about a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah, it can be lucrative if you've got set parameters. So when I started doing it, I was like, oh, whatever screen size and whatever mesh you want. And then, people ask for like screens this big, or like I've had 2.5 meter screens. So they really do take the piss. So I had 2 screen sizes, 3 different mesh types. That's it. unless you're like a really good friend, not doing anything out of that. Yeah,
that's it. Really, nobody needs more than like ours are 79s over here, but if you're just a home printer, you don't need a bigger mesh count than that. Like it's crazy. So sometimes you can give people too much choice, can't you? Like really,
you can
as well. And it just keep it simple. I would need somebody, and I've again come back to you asking me how many people I have. I want to know how many people you guys have, because how's that because you're just printing for like blind Maggot, right? You don't do so much like what we're doing, servicing a wider market, or do you?
I used to, and now we're basically. I think no one really knows what we do, but I'm trying to explain it all the time. But so basically, I'd say a good chunk of our time is like making videos, tutorial videos, YouTube, that type of stuff. And to feed the videos, we can't just like wait for a customer to give us a cool shirt that needs this technique or this ink. So then we started printing for our own brand, selling it on the markets, and then it's just kind of one of those things where you make so much stock that you're like, oh, actually, this is selling. So why don't I push this a little bit more? And then it just became that we were selling more stock than the money that we were making for doing customer orders. And customer orders are so like draining on your time and stuff, and stressful. Yes. Whereas this is no stress. Like we're getting shirts that are like discontinued, and we'll just buy up the whole lot for £2 each or something, print whatever color we want that's on the shelf. It's so much easier. So and then all that kind of sending screens out, that's always been in the background, and that's just like a nice little cash flow thing that
it makes a lot of sense. Again, at Perth, we've got one supplier, one screen printing supplier that everybody gets everything from.
No competition.
So
who is it?
No, they're called Australian screen print suppliers, but Jones Brothers is over east. I don't know if you've heard of them before. I think you said that. Yeah. So I don't know exactly, but the two people who run this, they sort of started at the same time as Jones Brothers. They've been around for a lot of years, like quite a few decades and stuff. And they're awesome people. Ron and Bev, if you're listening, hello and thanks for everything. They're great. For us, it's just it's one of those things where if the staff were there, I would maybe go, all right, let's have a look at it, and maybe look at getting our own aluminium frames, rolls of mesh, and stretcher and things like that. It would also be nice if you're on a job and you pop a screen and everything's full or whatever. Quick, let's go make more or da 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 da. But again, it's time, it's labour, a bit of an outset of cost to, if you were going to do it like what you were doing, that would be a good idea. I didn't
stretch the screens. I didn't do that. I just get them in.
No, fair enough. Like you don't really need to. Like, I like you just said it before. Like the custom stuff for branding, it's stressful. Like, it really is, and it garners so much time, which I think a lot of people don't actually take into consideration. It's they sort of don't, and like you've got a skill set. It's taken you years to build up this knowledge that then you can just go in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, easy, screen printing. I'll go do that myself. Like, it's like, okay. No, that's fair. But I love people who try and give it a go. It's great. But I'm sure I'll see you back here soon when you've bought Waterbased or something and you live in Australia and you can't print Waterbased because it's clogged every print. But it's all good.
I'll see you soon.
Without trying to be too callous, I guess. It's like that again, back to the gripe of like Australian industry. It's just like the supply is not easy, accessible. Again, I'm ordering stuff from AS Colour. It's 5 to 7 business days. Like that. I could pay express on stuff But and
then if something's wrong, I'm not saying AS Colour make too many mistakes, but if something is wrong, then that's another week.
No, exactly. And also on us as the operator, things happen. We're only human. You can misprint. Like the embroidery machine has a mind of its own.
That was a really big thing that I didn't think about when I just took out all the other brands and just went Stanley Seller, was that I have one box of spares, like extra small to double XL in black and white, And then like, that's my spare box. Even if I do misprint, I'm not like, exactly getting scared. I can literally just go to the box, put it out. It's so nice. It's such a nice feeling. So
I think that's no, that's exactly right. And I think, again, that's probably why we're sort of maybe gearing up to do this blank stuff, because it is a case of, okay, guys, we have a warehouse full of our blanks. They are sitting here. We can do this order in 2 weeks instead of 3.5. If something goes wrong on our record, medium, okay, stuff that won't go again. Like, it's not, okay, AS color, and then $35 freight every time for 2 shirts, and you like just going, I've just lost. And if it's a 20 shirt job, you're lost. Yeah. Everything's gone. It's done, the profit. So you just kind of, it's hard, really.
I think you've said a few times like what you find difficult over there, but do you have like one unpopular opinion in the whole industry that you keep hearing that you just don't agree with?
Again, without being this, but I think it's the DTG thing, to be honest. Like, that whole side of things, I don't know why, but I just have a massive bee in my bonnet about it.
Me too.
I think it's like it cuts us out of the equation. And unfortunately, this is the scary thing, I think, here is the more people that are doing this, I don't think they're realizing, like, hey, if we keep doing this, the screen printers will shut. Like, the screen printers will be gone. Like, there will be none of these shops left because we're just going this digital road. And again, that's my like biggest like gripe is, on one hand, everybody wants quality, but then they go and do this. And it's like, well, you can't have both. I believe in that world. I don't feel like they don't go in the same sentence. It's like, I've seen DTG prints that are awesome the first time you wear it, that you put it in a wash, or it's gone. If you haven't pre-treated your garment properly, it's not going to adhere, or all these different things where I'm like, this just sounds like a lot to deal with for something that's meant to be a plug and play easy thing, right? It seems like a lot of back and forth. And I think that, like, I'm a true fan of like taking things back. I mean, I'm like, this is why screen printing's been around forever, because you can't argue with it. It's going to withstand the test of time, and a good printed shirt will last you longer than the t-shirt. The print will last longer than the actual shirt. You'll have holes in your shirt before the prints come off or anything like that,
Even though, like, our generation growing up, we didn't grow up with vinyl players. We grew up with CDs and tapes and mini discs. Yeah. But still, I want to go back to a vinyl, and I do enjoy that. So it's tricky. That
I think everything's just so quick these days, isn't it? I think as well, and that whole thing with the record, again, like you say, it's just you put a record on, and you might discover songs that you'd never heard off of this album, or things. That's actually become my favorite piece of music from that artist, because you didn't actually sit there to give it the time and listen to it properly. And I think, like, the same, it sort of relates back to us. It's like, yes, that's a quick fix, but to me, it's a Band-Aid fix. It's not going to last. It's not going to be forever. And like, in 5 years, there'll be something else. It's like DTX or something stupid that, like, it'll be something new that they bring out that's like, all right, well, now you're competing against this. Like, we have a few people here that do, like, in Australia, it's quite big, like print on demand stuff. So I guess it's like, you set up your Shopify or whatever you do, and someone places an order and it will go straight to that company and they'll print it, and they, I'm like, well, where's your connection to your business? Like,
I think you can only get to a certain level with it. Like, there's definitely a plateau where you go, shit, I'm not really making money at this because I'm getting so many returns on the customers. People aren't buying twice because they're like, that's not the best. Has anyone come to you with AI generated art yet?
No, actually.
Really? It's going to happen. Yeah. It's like months away, honestly. They're like making it in Mid-Journey.
Oh, what? So they just like put something into an AI brief and then it will just spit it out, kind of thing. Is that what you mean? No, I haven't actually. Oh wait, I mean, look, I might have, but no one just told me that's what it was, and they just.
You can spot it now.
Claim that it's theirs, or would you? You can you?
Yeah.
What is it that you're looking out?
But at the moment,
I'm interested in this.
Right now, there's only about 4 different styles, so they're just these aesthetic styles that you can if you've done it once, if you've gone on Midjourney and made something, then it spits out the image and they all look the same somehow. Like the subject changes, but you can tell. So I don't know really how to describe it, but there's like hyper realistic and all this kind of stuff. But people are saying that that's their art now. So you're like, there needs to be like lots of discussion around this, because I'm
super interested in this. Like, I really want to find out more about that, because again, interesting working with very younger crew. Like, all of our customers are, I would say 80% are sub 30. So I'm surprised that it hasn't happened to me yet. Yeah, I mean, look, Australia is always a little bit behind on things. Not to knock my own home, because I love it here, but we are a little bit behind the curve on certain things. Look, I'll have to message you if it does. I bet you any money now someone will walk in this week and go, "Hey, I've got my AI." And I'll go, "Chessie, I've got one."
You'll be like, "How did you draw this?" Like in Illustrator or Photoshop, and they're like, "No, Discord." And you're like, "Oh, kill me now." Anyway,
no, AI. Oh, it's crazy. That's funny.
I've got family members in lots of different sectors. So like, there's one in finance and banking. Like, he's really huge, and he's all about data, and he's talking about AI. And then there's another guy who generates golf courses, and he's talking about it. And then I'm talking about it from the artist kind of perspective. It's very, very interesting. But
it's very interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
But it might actually, again, highlight the value of people and like actual graphic designers who have creatively thought about what they're doing instead of just inputting and saying generate it. And also that linked with like manual screen print, or not even manual screen printing, but just screen printing, might actually up the value of what we're creating, hopefully.
I think it will eventually. Like, I think it will. It's kind of like when heat transfer vinyl was first starting, I guess, and people were like, "This is great, I can do anything I want." And then, here's our limitation. Layering colours. Oh, okay, here we go. And then it circles back, I think, to, well, let's screen print it, and let's ask the professionals, you know what I mean? Like, just to do the job. You get the professionals to do the job for you, I've always been a firm believer in that too. Pay people what they're worth. It's a skill set. You've earned it. Like, it's the same as, well, I don't know if you get this question. They're like, "How long does it take you to print my shirts?"
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's like, I don't, it's like, it's not about the time. It's not about the time. It's about the skill set, and we have it, and the equipment and things and all this, take time out of the equation.
I know.
But,
I accidentally did set myself up with that bit though, because my videos show us printing a shirt, take it off, print a shirt, take it off. And they're like, "Oh, how much am I paying you to do that then?" And then they accidentally don't understand the value of it, because it was all the setup and the knowledge and the like which buttons to press. That's the knowledge that I've got, not how, like,
correct,
how long it actually takes.
Correct. That's absolutely right. It baffles me sometimes. I'm like, again, I'll bring it back. A builder or a plumber or an electrician, it's all hourly rates. That's the way it's all built. And I think everybody just goes, "Well, he's doing me a service, and it's a trade of sorts of screen printing." People look at it that way, and an hourly figure must be the way they base it. It's definitely not. Hard one, but if it was me being completely honest, I would, if I had 5-6 just like really good customers every year, that's what I would prefer. Over here in Australia, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but merch for breweries and stuff here is huge.
I used to do that mainly.
You will walk down the street. Yeah, you'd walk down the street and go, "Oh, there's a guy wearing that beer's shirt. That beer's, okay, he's got that." And it's massive, and it's very lucrative, like the business. So it's like, honestly, if we could get customers like that and we move into that sort of trade world, I'd love it. I would always entertain the other stuff as well, but it would be not so much of a, well, we're relying on this quite heavily as a business to move forward. These are our terms. If you want to work with us, we have a 8-week waiting list or whatever it is, who knows, but and if you want to go with us, that's great. That would be ideal for us. That definitely, and given we're a small team as well, it'd be great. But you're constantly like circling back and thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? in terms of the business. But, you know, ideal world, it'd be nice to have that. But
breweries are really, really good. I have built relationships with about 3 of them. And the way I found to get in with them is I just put their logo on loads of different merch things. So like a duffel bag, cap, hoodie, all that kind of shit. And they were like biting your hand off to work with you. And also you can do collabs with them. I thought that was really difficult, but you just go and brew a beer with them and it's like, oh, that's actually what they want to do. That it's part of their marketing strategy to like link up with all these other businesses. And you get some beer.
Yeah, so nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Australia, Perth in particular, is very collab heavy as well. Like the businesses all really intertwine here. That's what I love about Australia and the market. Definitely. We're doing one now. Well, it's in talks, but it's going to happen. But we just got to work through it now. We're actually doing a collab on a sandwich.
Yes,
like a big,
brilliant.
If I said like a continental roll, do you know what that is? It's very
is it
Australian.
Like ham and cheese?
Ham, like Italian meats, cheese, you know, a bit of, all that stuff. It's great. Like, but that's massive here. And basically there's a shop that's opened up near us and they do all these pretty exciting sambos and continental rolls, etc. And they were like, we love what you do. And they're very similar to us, young people as well. They're like, let's make a sandwich together and da-da-da, and we're going to do this. And I'm like, I love it. Like, let's go. That's awesome. Like, we'll make some merch for it and we'll do a whole thing, you know?
I wonder if you could embroider on the top of it.
Oh, it'd be pretty cool. I'd like to give it a go. It might taste a bit funny afterwards, a bit oily maybe, but yeah. Do you guys do much of it, or is it just sort of because it's Blind Maggots on its own, or is it, you know, do you go into that collab world much? We do
try. So we've done. There's like a beer that we were asked to do the graphic design on, and then we made the T-shirt of the same graphic. So we sell that on the market. We really do want to collaborate the hell out of it with, again, breweries and just local businesses, because I see that's the way to really grow. You can't just be. I think it's too vulnerable just trying to be out on your own now. I think we need each other.
Absolutely, and the strength in numbers, as they say, right? And I believe in that wholeheartedly. And what maybe one audience can bring, another one couldn't, and you put them powers together and you combine them, and it does something incredible, and it could make business great for both parties. And I think that's awesome, and like support each other really.
Can I ask, like, what kind of jobs you are saying no to? Like, because it seems like you're saying yes to a lot, and on your website, obviously, it doesn't show like what you do or don't do. Really, it just says like, it says you do embroidery, but it's not very deep, is it?
Yeah, we're not. I sort of did that on purpose a little bit, like to iron out the wheat from the chaff a little bit. I came from this background, and one of the companies I worked for as an embroider, it was very much like, oh, my granddaughter's just like been born. You put Stephanie on a blanket embroidered. Yes, I can price, and then it was just the biggest waste of time ever. Like, it was just like those things, like they're what I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Like, yes, I know. Like you said before, unless I love you and you're like friends or whatever, like, I'll definitely do it. But, you know, Betty walks in off the side of the road. Hello, dear. Can you do this for my little granddaughter? Like, you're a lovely person, and I'm always respectful. But I'm like, look, we're just not geared up to do that. Like, well, we are, but if we took all those jobs on, Christ, I'd never get anything done.
I know.
Like,
you're trying to hide the embroidery machine. You're like, don't look at that.
Literally. No, and again, saying this, it's like I came from a like personalized, individual, one-off like that. I'm like, no, like I'm not doing it. Like, we have minimums of, I say for the embroidery thing, 12 units, which is still so accessible. But it's for me, I'm like, it's 2 runs on the machine. It's it's factoring in time. It's, you know, staff getting paid, et cetera, et cetera. Like, so that I'm like, that works. Screen printing, 20, up to 4 colors, 5 to 6 colors. We're minimum of like 35 or 50 sometimes, or 50 for 6, 35 for 5. So it's kind of like, but look, I'm a bit of a lie as well. Sometimes I do go, oh, all right, man, like, we'll do your 6 color job for 30 shirts. And I do sometimes like let it go, which is like bad of me. But you don't want to, like, again, you don't want to break people's hearts and again, it's like, well, I don't want DTG, want it printed. I'm happy to pay you extra or whatever. So you do it. But yeah, like it's the individual stuff. Like, that's really what I've just sort of been like, nah, like I don't have the time for it. I used to do, this was a nightmare job. And I used to do this. My old boss, it would have been very good, but it was a sleepwear company that did like silky pajamas. And it was like, I'd get twice a week 2 crates of 300 each time of these
slippery bloody things.
yeah, exactly. And they basically would have their own sheet, and it's like, okay, this person has ordered this one and they want in small cursive font Jessica with a capital J. So I would then go program it, digitize it. And it was like individual, one at a time. And it was like monotonous.
Yeah.
I hated it so much. But it was like, for them, it was a good earner. As me doing it, I'm like, this is horrible. It's like my sister-in-law, she runs an active wear brand, yoga-based stuff. She comes to me the other week. I'm going to start a sleepwear brand. And I think I went, no, like, don't you dare. Like, it overreacted.
Triggered you, like, start twitching.
Yeah, she's like, I'm so, are you all right? And I was like, I'm sorry, that's just taking me back to a dark place. Like, I don't mean that in that way. I'm so sorry. I was explaining it to her, and then she's like, oh my God, yeah, that sounds like a pain in the butt. Because I'm like, you're the embroider now, so you're going to have to do it. And she's like, oh no, that sounds like way too much hard work. Yeah. I'm just going to put my brand name on it, and that'll do. I'm like, there you go. Be like Peter Alexander or something, with his pajamas over. I don't know. Do you know who Peter? He's an Australian designer.
No, I don't know, but I'll look
he's
him
an
up.
Australian. Look him up. He's an Australian designer who's basically just got pajama shops, and he sells expensive pajamas. Pretty good. Done all right for himself. But what about, like, I guess you guys, you don't do the customers, I suppose, anymore. But is there anything that you just like?
Oh my God,
constantly
so much
get
stuff.
asked? Yeah. I can imagine.
I've got a huge family. So it's one of my brothers has had this cashmere company for about 12 years that he's not really done anything with. He used to live in Nepal because he was whatever. Right. And so he's got all this cashmere in boxes. Keeps like going, he comes into the studio and lingers around the embroidery machine. He's like, do you reckon that could do cashmere? And I'm like, it can, but it won't. But I'm trying to be nice, because this has been 12 years of me saying I'm not doing the fucking cashmere blankets, because first of all, each blanket costs like 80 quid. You want what you want with the personalized names and all that. And then ad hoc, someone makes an order, I've got to fulfill it. There's no chance. That's like me going to him, and he is a builder. Yeah. Like, I feel like I want to like give him an example of a bullshit job that would be for him. Like, absolutely. You have to go put 3 bricks in a stack with the mortar and mix the mortar up and just do that little stack any time of day for the rest of your life. Like, that's not going to... Exactly.
It's like, well, so many materials and time. It's like, yep, it's exactly the same. But same here. Like, believe it or not. But like, that's interesting though. Cashmere. That's very cool. I do get asked to do some random stuff. What kind of embroidery machine do you guys have?
It's just it's got 16 needle like Melco. It's not like 16 head, just a one head. Yeah, it's just a Melco ENT 16 one.
You guys do a lot on it, or? Yeah,
I think so. We do enough to make it pay for itself. I mean, it's all paid off now, thank God. But nice. I enjoy it. I quite like working with it. I like doing caps and things. And
No, that's
I think
good.
it's
look, you're doing your own stuff as well, like a single head sweep. Just whenever you pick and choose, just run 20 hats off it. You don't have to really worry about it. Set and forget if the machine's running well and stuff like that. I think it's quite cool. It's interesting. You I was watching your one with Lee Stewart, who watch him a lot, obviously. I think a lot of people do. And like, interesting to now see him dive into that world of embroidery and stuff like that. And I think it makes, I don't know, it makes you realise, I am a mere mortal, like trying to figure it out. It's such a difficult side of the industry, as well as screen printing, obviously. But embroidery is another beast. Like, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is hard about it? Is it
it's not just like, and it's again, it's same as screen printing. It's not just, oh yeah, that'll work for every garment. Like if you could put a 43 on every single garment and who cares and whatever, great. But it's not like that. And I think every single job needs to be treated with the utmost like, right, okay, we've got, this is the fabric, this is the weight, this is the, like all these different, we need to use, you know, we need to have solvi or for this, for beanies, because it's going to come through the pie, or you're constantly thinking. And also the machine can just start giving errors and things where you're going, what is that? Like, why is that doing that? Why? I've pre-checked everything. I've done all my things that I need to do. The problem, like big problem with embroidery is the setup. It's like digitizing. And that's the biggest thing like in embroidery is the digitizing. Yeah. If you don't have a good digitized file, or it's not digitized correctly for what garment or what style you are doing, you're pushing shit uphill, essentially. Yeah. Like,
how are you getting around that? Do you send that out?
So like some things we do, but I tend to now, like for when I was starting, I was doing all my own. When I sort of got into it a bit more, a little bit of things I kind of had to farm out. But now I've come back to, we're doing it all ourselves. I'm teaching Ashley now, who's here, and going, okay, right, from the basics. And I've actually said to her, like, go watch this guy's videos. He explains things quite well, and it's Ken who you interviewed as well. I'm like, he explains things very well. You know, things where it's like, if you have a satin stitch column this wide, you don't need to put double zigzag underlay, or you just need a center run. It's like things like that, because you can overdo it. Like you can really overdo it. Say like offshore digitizing as well. A lot of it's like per 1,000 stitches. Yeah. So if they can like bump up your tatami fills, or like, of course, it's like you bump up a tatami fill, you could add an extra 2,000 stitches to a design like that, but it will run like shit. Like it'll be horrible or clumpy, or registration is off, or whatever. You're just not, you got this big thing on a t-shirt, or like things that are like simple as when you're doing caps, like your digitizing needs to be like bottom up and like things like this, so it's not like warping as it's going down the cap. Little tricks of things like that I'm like, well, if you're gonna do this, you need to learn how to actually do it, and sit there and we'll go over it together. And I'm like, look guys, essentially what it is, it's a bunch of like learning how to tell the machine to run. There's little cut stitches as we can, as many like thread trims, all this sort of stuff where we want the machine to run properly. We don't want dead time in trims and things like this, and which I think is someone like Ken does explain that very well. Like he's very, very good at that. I'm a Mac user, and it's only on, and so is my sister-in-law and everything, it's only on Windows. Really? So you can't get it. Well, you could do like a parallel or something and run it through.
I've tried all that shit. Oh my god.
Nah,
that's
it
a big
doesn't
hole.
work, because I've said to like my sister, I'm like, if you want, I'll buy you a laptop or just a rubbish Windows one that we can put a program on, and you can just sit at home. I'll teach you how to do it. Get your own designs and just start digitizing it, bringing it in and running it, seeing how they go. That's it. That's how you learn, really. Again, thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for actually like continuing to do it for our community and the videos and everything. It's awesome. All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Yes, okay. Take care. See ya.
And you.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.